pleased to be joined now by Jim Boeheim. And Coach, thanks so much for coming on. Paulie and I were just talking about where Melo kind of fits into, most impactful players to ever suit up at Syracuse University. You played with Dave Bing. You obviously coached Melo. You coached Pearl. You coached, Louis and Bowie. Where does Melo fit into this whole equation of most impactful players ever to put on an orange uniform?
Well, I'm just going to talk about my coaching years, and that he's easily the number one guy because we won the whole thing. So there's no question he has to be right there. I think that certainly John Wallace comes to mind. He came at a really tough time for us, and we really needed John. So he was a huge impact player for us, for sure.
When you look back on his legacy in the game and Syracuse and beyond, look at what he did in the NBA. I read off the list of players that are ahead of him in scoring, and it's Kobe and Shaq and MJ, and it's all-time greats, and then Melo's name is among them. What is his legacy as he leaves the game now?
Well, the thing that's interesting in the NBA, and people could say he didn't win championships, every team he went to, he made better. When he went to Denver, they were in terrible shape. They became a playoff team, and, they lost to the San Antonio Spurs, who won the championships, and the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq. So, those are tough teams to overcome. But then he got to the Knicks, and he improved the Knicks, made them a playoff team. So I think everywhere he went, he made the teams better. He's easily one of the great scorers in NBA history. Obviously, he has 3 Olympic gold rings that not too many people have, gold medals, and an NCAA championship. So, his basketball legacy is right up there at the very top.
I'm glad you brought up the Olympics because, we talk about what he did at Syracuse, what he did in the NBA. You got to see firsthand what he did for those Olympic teams that, rosters that were full of all-time greats. How important was his presence on those teams and kind of buying into his role on those teams?
Well, I remember when we were talking about Melo getting ready to select the team, and there was some feeling that he wouldn't accept a role, much like there was in the NBA over these last 3 or 4 years when he did accept a role. But with the Olympics, he came in, he came off the bench, I think he's our leading scorer, second leading scorer of the first Olympics, and completely accepted his role in the next Olympics, came off the bench, key player, really great shooter, obviously, but key part of 3 Olympics, in terms of just being a role player, coming in and doing what needed to be done. He's a great team player. Even here for us, he led the way, but there were some games when he wasn't doing, wasn't scoring, and he'd help Jerry or he'd help Billy or Josh Pace or Hakeem. He'd get them into positions to win a game. So great team player, but just a great offensive player. He's one of the few guys that could shoot the 3, pull up, and then drive and get to the basket. There's not a lot of guys that can do that. And he did it as well as anybody, and he brought a national championship here to Syracuse, and you can never underestimate or undersell that. It's very, very hard to do that.
Coach, you got to see him from high school on. What were your first impressions of Carmelo?
Well, Troy Weaver made me go down during the season, which I didn't usually do, to see this kid in Baltimore. And he was in the top 50, but he hadn't broken through yet. And we went into the gym. I'll never forget. In fact, I sat with the lacrosse coach from Hofstra, who was watching one of his players try to guard Melo. Of course, he's up here now as our assistant coach. And, Melo came down. This is a true story. He caught the ball. He made a 3. The next time the guy came up on him, he drove, he pulled up, made a 10 or 15 footer. Then the third time in a row, he caught it, drove in, dunked it. And I turned to Troy Weaver and I said, "Yep, that's the guy." It was a true story. That was it. And he was 6'9". He weighed about 190. And, so you didn't know what he would do coming in. But the next year he went to Oak Hill. And I'll never forget when he came in here, he was 220. I mean, I was like, what did you do at Oak Hill? I mean, he just put on 30 pounds. And so you knew he was going to be a one-and-done player. And he loved college, did all his classwork, was a great teammate. Just couldn't have been better. And, when we won it, he was going to go. But he liked it up here. He enjoyed his time. And I think the biggest thing you should know with Melo is not that many great players give back to their school. He gave back a lot, $3 million to help build the Melo Center. And that's kept us in elite shape in terms of facilities because it's an elite facility, and he's responsible for that.
You were telling us the story of when you first saw him. We just celebrated the 20th anniversary. You guys winning the national championship, and a lot of stories have come up. And one of my favorites is, the night of the championship game. That there was, the way he tells it, there's a lot of nervous energy in the locker room beforehand, and Melo's just calm and cool. And Coach, I got you. We're going to win this for you. Don't worry about it. Hey, could you take us back to that night and just that was kind of the way he was, right? He was unflappable. Nothing really seemed to bother him.
Yeah, he was pretty confident. Actually that moment took place just before the training meal. I had eaten something that was not good, and I had a bad stomach, and he thought I was worried. And, obviously you're always nervous before a game like that, but he told me he had it. Don't worry about it. I said, okay. But as the game turned out, Jerry came out and just lit up the building and got us going. And then the second half, Melo took over and did what had to be done to get the win. But it was a great win against a great Kansas team. It was most of the years when we got in the tournament, got to the Final Four, we had to beat a great team, whether it was Duke or North Carolina. Kansas one year, North Carolina one year. To beat that Kansas team in the championship game, those are hard games to win when you get to that stage.
Yeah, so many great memories. And along those lines, Coach, since we do have you, I did want to ask you about the late, great Jim Brown. And, we saw his passing on Friday, and we talked a lot about that. Talk about icons at Syracuse University. He was maybe the biggest one of them all. Can you just speak to the legacy of Jim Brown?
Well, there's no maybe about it. He was the biggest. I was always nervous even when I saw Jim Brown. He was my idol growing up. I watched him and watched the Cleveland Browns, watched every game they played, and he was a great football player and a great athlete. No athlete has ever done what he's done. He was the best lacrosse player, one of the best track guys, a good basketball player, and he's the greatest running back. People can call up all they want about their favorite running back. Jim Brown was the best running back. I don't think there's any dispute about that. And he's a Syracuse guy. He always came back. He always had good things to say to me about our program. And, he did a lot in the outside world. Some of it is, it was not good. Everybody knows that. But he was an unbelievable ambassador for race relations and for helping people. The prison program he had, his work with black athletes. Jim Brown said, he called out pro athletes. He said, let's, stand up. Let's do what's right here. And don't sit back on your money. And he should be remembered for that. But I'll always remember him for just being the best. He was the best ever was. And we had him here at Syracuse. And that's pretty special to me.
Coach, one last one for you. How's retirement treating you?
It's been great. I'm really never been happier. It's just a great time and be able to go do things you want to do. Adrian and his group have done an unbelievable job recruiting, filling the holes. The one thing I want more than anything is for the program to be successful, and I'm convinced that they're absolutely right on the right track. It's not easy to replace guys in the portal when you lose really, really good players, and they've done that. Adrian's done a tremendous job of that, and I'm really, really proud of that.
Coach, it's great to hear from you. Enjoy your summer, and hopefully we can talk again soon. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Absolutely. Anytime. We can get the truth on instead of what you get from Pat.
Hey, Coach, I'm driving down the coast next week for vacation if you want to come along.
I'm not driving anywhere. I'm not driving to Wegmans with you, Paul. And that's a block. That's 2 blocks, so that's not happening.
All right. I thought I'd offer.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Good luck. Good luck.
All right, there he is, the Hall of Famer Jim Boeheim. And with that, we'll hit our first time out. Phone lines open, 315-437-7644. We're back after this on ESPN Radio.